Hello. I appreciate the opportunity of being here to talk to you a little bit about RED implementation framework, one of the components of the RPP that each country will be working on in the coming months and years. RED implementation framework, as you know, refers to the legal, institutional, and organizational issues that a country needs to put in place to allow for its participation in an international RED mechanism. What we mean by legal, institutional, and organizational issues are divided across three main issues that I present here in these slides: carbon ownership, benefit sharing arrangements, and the scale of implementation of RED. This is an area where there's still a lot of learning to be made. We are at the beginning of these discussions of institutional frameworks. There is little experience out there. We'll be talking a little bit about some experience that exists now. At the same time, the FCPF has the role of gathering this information and trying to consolidate and make them available for countries as we move ahead with the RED readiness process in the countries. So I'll start with the first topic we have here, carbon ownership. As you know, this is a key issue in a RED scheme because it has influence in how revenues, the likely revenues and potential revenues from carbon would be distributed. What we expect here is that countries would, in the RPP, mention and elaborate on the type of analytical work that they would undertake to propose legislation or regulation or institutional arrangements that would deal with the issue of who the carbon belongs to or how carbon can be traded. One thing that we know is that ownership of carbon is likely to vary across different land tenure regimes: public land, private land, indigenous lands, community managed lands. Carbon ownership is likely to be very linked to the issues of user rights and how they are regulated in certain countries, what groups, what sectors have access to what resources. One thing that is clear is that coming to clear rules on that will be very important to send a strong signal that carbon transactions or performance-based payments would not lead to conflicts in the country. A very important thing in the discussions about carbon ownership are the risks. I mean, what are the risks in defining carbon ownership? I mean, it's pretty clear that this is going to be a highly contentious issue because, again, this is going to determine who benefits from RED or not. So what is expected at this stage is that country lay out a roadmap to trying to solve these important issues. So I'll go to the second issue that we have here, benefit sharing schemes. So basically the question here is how would RED revenues be shared across sectors, government, communities, private sector? What are the rules that would be put in place and what is the process to arrive at these rules? We have, of course, there is a big concern as to how equitable these resources would be shared across different constituencies in the country. And how to avoid, I mean, some of the risks of elite capture, I mean, corruption, important issues in coming up with a national scheme of RED and building confidence among the potential providers of funding to RED. A very important suggestions we would like to give here is that the countries try to learn from other sectors, from other natural resources sectors, and how resources from these sectors have been managed so far. Here we're talking about, say, mining, how mining revenues have been shared, and what role have communities had in benefiting from these revenues. And if not, why not? And what are the main lessons learned and challenges that need to be thought through in coming up with regulations and legislation for REDD and carbon in general in the country. In addition, an issue that country might consider here is how resources are managed. There are many ways of managing the potential REDD resources, and we are already seeing in different countries the establishment, for instance, of a national fund, or working through a foundation to manage the resources. But key is that this is a transparent process, and that this is built in consultations with the different stakeholders that have a stake in how these resources from forest, from reduced deforestation and degradation would be used. Quickly, here we have two examples that you can verify in your material. But one example of a regulation in Indonesia, it's a recent regulation, how they decided on how benefits from REDD would be shared across government, communities, and the developer of the project. We are not endorsing or saying that this is the best option, but just showing how a country has decided to address the issue. And a second example that we have here is how funds are being managed at a national level. And we offer the example of the Brazilian Amazon Fund that has been set up and is being managed by the Brazilian Bank of Economic and Social Development. As you will see, this is a model that could provide important lessons to countries that are thinking now of how to establish a mechanism to channel, to receive and channel funds that could potentially be mobilized through REDD activities.